looks like you're ready. Click to start streaming. All right. Yep, there we go. All right. All right, buddy, we're rocking and rolling.
All right, let's roll and rock.
Press the blue button.
Wfod goes hard.
The result is an absence of checks and balances in Russia and the decision of one man to launch a wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of of Ukraine. Iraq. Anyway, 75.
To this thing we call the Wfod. My name is Mike. I am joined by my good friend, the king of pranks, the albino alligator, popcorn bitch, Mr. Travis Hulse. Hello, Travis.
Hello.
The phone number to contact the show is 636-487-HAND or WFOD show on Skype. Travis, we have one hell of a show for the people, Travis. So much going on in the world to discuss. I think that we really need to talk about the attack, Travis.
Oh, definitely. We definitely have to talk about the attack.
I'm talking, of course, about the guy who wore a wig and went into the Louvre in a wheelchair, pretending to be an old lady, Travis, threw a piece of cake at the Mona Lisa. Did you see this story?
Do we have his reasoning for this perpetration?
As a matter of fact, we do, Travis.
The cake attack left a conspicuous white creamy smear, but the famous work by Leonardo da Vinci was not damaged. Think of the Earth. People are destroying the Earth, the man said in French in another video that showed him being led away by security from the Paris gallery. Think about it. Artists tell you, think of the Earth. That's why I did this.
He did it, Travis.
Is that a robot reporting the news?
I believe so, yeah, that's big now, is robots reporting the news.
Huh. That's interesting.
So he snuck into the Louvre. This isn't the first time that somebody's tried to get the Mona Lisa. I learned all about it today. The robot taught me a lot, Travis. There's actually been several attacks on the Mona Lisa.
The Mona Lisa has been behind glass since a Bolivian man threw a rock at the painting in December 1956, damaging her left elbow.
So in 56, a Bolivian guy threw a rock at it, Travis.
Not her left elbow.
There was another one.
In 2009, a Russian woman angry at not being able to get French citizenship threw an empty teacup at the painting, which slightly scratched the case.
So it's behind bulletproof glass.
The case?
Yeah. The Mona Lisa can't fuck with it, Travis. But this guy, he came in a disguise. I love this story. Came in a disguise.
Yeah.
And threw cake at it. Which, by the way, Travis, you're muted for some reason, but by the way, I bet outside of the Louvre, there is a sign up that says no food or drinks. I bet, because I mean, you got all this precious shit around. They don't want people like spilling their drinks and splashing sody pops on the paintings, Travis. So there's most definitely a sign that says no food or drinks, and this criminal brought a goddamn piece of cake in anyway.
What was the reasoning behind the disguise? They wouldn't let him in just as a normal person? Like, was dressing up like an old lady in a wheelchair, was that how he snuck the cake in?
Think about the Earth. Yeah,
the Earth.
maybe you come in with a wheelchair and they don't search you as good. Like,
maybe he should have just pushed a stroller in with a blanket over it and pretended a baby was in there, and then when he took the blanket off, looky here, there's an entire ice cream cake that I'm going to throw at a Van Gogh.
What if you, I mean, have you ever seen that show on Netflix, Travis, Is It Cake? What if you just made a whole baby out of cake?
Oh, there you go. Nobody knows the difference there.
Roll the cake baby into the Louvre and throw the whole, I mean, that could be part of the piece. I mean, I don't really get, he just had like a piece of cake.
Maybe he bought it in the museum coffee shop.
Well, I don't know the history of Mona Lisa the lady. Was she anti-Earth?
I don't think so.
Or is he just like bringing attention to the cause by attacking a painting that is popular?
Well, I don't think it's that great of a job, considering the fact that I would assume most people know the story of a man who dressed up like an old lady and threw a piece of cake at the Mona Lisa, and like myself probably said, was there a reason he did this? And like didn't look any further into it.
Yeah. When you found out he said, think of the Earth. Charles,
and then I kind of shrugged my shoulders.
There was another attack too, and that one was pretty bad. And I wasn't entertained by that. That was awful. But what I was entertained by is their new thing, and what they're saying is there's too many doors. They're going on the door thing, and it's really interesting to me. How they're saying so, what they want to do is they want.
Are we talking about limiting points of entry?
Yeah. You one door. You can only come in the one door. Can't come in other doors. And so I guess there's more than one exit. Like you can leave other doors, because like you just have the one to get in. That would be a nightmare, right? I mean, like what if there's a fire?
Why don't they put signs up like people do, like if you have a very obvious front door, but that's like your living room, so you want people to come in through your side door that goes into like your like walkway before your kitchen, you just put a sign on the door that says, please use other door.
And then they know not to go in that one, right?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Well, listen to fucking Ted. I got Ted Cruz here. He's saying we just need one door.
Having one door that goes in and out of the school, having armed police officers at that one door.
So you hunker down at that one door like you get like a sharpshooter to just wait by the one door. And if anybody suspicious comes in, you turn that little like red laser light on them, and then they know. Can't come in here,
You don't be here.
And then this guy's great. This guy wants to use the COVID money to buy locks for all the other
remember,
doors.
Sean, there are billions of dollars sitting out there after COVID for schools that we should direct that money to allow the schools to use that to have one central point of interest to protect these kids.
So you use the COVID money, Travis, to fund locks for all the other doors.
I'm curious where these people have been for the past, 10, 15 years, considering that all schools that I'm aware of have that one-point entrance where you have to be buzzed in order to walk the halls of the school.
Are you talking about like if you go to like a jeweler or something? Like in Uncut Gems, Travis?
That's right. Just like that. You press a little intercom after school starts until school is out. You go to that front door and, oh shit, they're locked. You press the intercom and it says, yeah, what do you want? and then you say, yeah, I'm here to do blah, 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 and then they buzz you in and you have to check in the office. Now, granted, if you were up to no good, you could lie, but at the same time, these things that these politicians are talking about already exist.
So, like, you go out to recess, the swing sets, they're in the back of the building, Travis. And you go out that door.
Yeah, in most cases.
And you swing on the swing set for a half hour, right? Then how do you get back in? Do you have to walk all the way around to the front?
I think probably your noon aides, your recess aides would probably have a key or access, or somebody would be inside to open those things up. Or maybe those doors are open for that 20-minute recess period, and then they get locked again.
Well, it fucks up the plan, though, doesn't it?
I mean, I suppose it does to a certain extent, but I mean, what are you going to do? Just take the doors out and make walls out of them? That doesn't seem... seems
plaster of Paris right over the top of the fucking things.
Right. That seems counterproductive to the fact that schools need to take deliveries. They have doors on the gym that take you out to like the track and the football field and the baseball field and all of those things. I don't think you're going to seal those entrances and exits up.
What I'm getting at, Travis, is a bad plan. It's not a great plan.
Yeah. And it's not a plan at all, because in most instances, it's a plan that's already, active.
That night, I think this guy in this particular case was outside for 12 minutes shooting in the windows. So, there was a bad plan. That, and Travis, I'm telling you, something that they also have not considered is that I have stayed at a Holiday Inn Express, and every one of those has like the key card that you need to get into the other doors. And every one of those is held open with a rock so that people can load their cars. So that the
smokers need to come in and out.
Right. The smokers can run out real quick. The janitorial staff wants to take out the trash, and they want to just come back in. They don't want to do a whole fucking thing with the card. It's stupid. The whole thing is stupid. And we need a better plan. I don't know what the plan is, but I'm not paid to come up with.
You
plans.
wonder, you wonder if at a time of crisis, certain sides, if there's like a Illuminati that gets together for the Democrats and the Republicans and kind of just says, okay, guys, for this news cycle, for this tragedy, these are going to be our talking points. And some dumb dipshit GOP guy was like, hey, focus on the doors. Get that to all of our representatives. The problem is there's too many fucking doors.
And that other guy...
that drum till people are confused.
Is like, guys, we don't even have to pay for the doors. I know what you were thinking. How are we going to pay for the doors? We don't have to, because we got that COVID money.
There's all that COVID money left over. Don't worry about it.
How about the internet? The internet makes lots of money, so give us some of that money. Yeah, give us internet money.
The fucking mass shootings is happening at like a rapid pace, and they say that they think that people see their face on the news and they say, ooh, that looks good. But doesn't it seem like they go by so quick? And I mean, I don't know this. I think his last name, he had like a Spanish name, right? A Spanish guy?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I think he was like a Latino guy. Yeah,
but, I mean,
or Salvador. I don't know.
Who gives a fuck though, right? I mean, like,
I can't remember the name of any of the only one that I remember is the Boston bombing guy, because his name was Joe Carr.
And he ran over his brother.
Right, he certainly did.
That's just
all these other people.
Funny.
I can't remember that.
He was like, I got to get away. Oops, ran over my brother. But what I
be like frank with you, Mike? Though,
yeah.
Like living in St. Louis, aren't there mass shootings in St. Louis?
Oh, sure,
frequently.
Yeah, all the time. Right.
Like so, like it's hard to. Obviously, this is a different scenario, and it breaks my heart, and I can't even read about these kind of things.
No, it's awful.
It's
awful.
devastating. is awful. Like, I think I need to read a news article, and then I get halfway through it, and I start to tear up, and I'm like, nope. I don't need to know anything about this. Like, this is a terrible tragedy. Something needs to be done. What can we do? Fuck. But really, when you look at it, and people are citing these things, and they're talking about, easy access to guns and things, it's like, there's mass shootings in Chicago, in Milwaukee. These aren't legal guns, right? Like, these are serial number shaved off guns that somebody got from their cousin Chris that got it from their buddy who sells them weed. Like, this is not, it's not like most of these people are going into gun stores and saying, yeah, like, give me an AK-47. Like, these are just like acquired in their neighborhoods and things, right? Like, so the mass
I think I think this particular guy, his were his grandma's, and he just shot his grandma and took hers. I think hers were legal. I mean, so I guess they're illegal for him to take them because he killed his grandma and took them.
Well, I think they said he bought them on his 18th birthday, just like, which is, is legal. And I do support there is something to be said for like more wait times before you get guns. Like, you shouldn't be able to just go get a gun today and be like, you're in a pissed off mood and you want to go shoot something up. Like, that's not right. There should be more background checks. But the problem is, when they talk about like getting rid of guns, first of all, there are millions and millions of guns in the United States.
God, Travis, have you seen all those pictures in the last couple days of all the people like in their underpants laying on their bed with all their guns around them and stuff? It would take so long to clean up.
Yeah,
like just for a dumb picture.
With the rednecks that are like, it's like they're posing for the shot from the Suicide Squad where the Joker was like laying in that circle of knives.
Right? Yeah, like
it was.
They make like the Game of Thrones thrown out of guns and then stand in the middle of it like they're really cool. Yeah. And you just got to think, why did you take the time to do this just to take a picture of yourself? Dumb. It's dumb.
That's like like too big a truck syndrome, right? Like, you're compensating. Like, I am a fan of guns. Like, I like guns. They're fun. Like, I really do. I own guns. They're, whatever. And they're obviously, I have one in my house for protection. I have them to take to the range to shoot because they're super fun. And when people say, what do you need an AR for if they're killing machines? Yeah, you know what they also do? Is they shoot 2-liter bottles of soda and explode them real good, and it's fun to watch and it's fun to do. So that argument is moot. But I mean, are guns the issue? Because no,
Travis, we already figured it out. It's the doors. But Travis, what I'm getting at, the mass shooter thing is big right now, and that seems to be the direction that everybody's going with. But we need to bring back serial killers. Like, serial killers...
I feel like that's more exotic and mysterious, right?
Right! And it's a better story. It's more cinematic. We remember all the good serial killers. And that was a long time ago.
We're still talking about the Zodiac killer, and we don't know who that person is.
Charles, everybody's been trying to fuck Ted Bundy for 50 years at this point, right? Wasn't he in the 70s? We're making Zac Efron movies with Ted Bundy.
Mm-hmm.
If you do the serial killing, like, you can get arrested just at your house. Like, not while you're in the middle of doing it. You'll probably get shot.
Right.
They'll do a DNA test, they'll find you, and then you'll be super fucking famous. You'll have a Netflix show, for sure. The quickest way...
There's going to be a documentary first.
Oh, yeah.
And then a 10-part Netflix series.
Yeah, no, the quickest way to get a Netflix think is to be a serial killer. How many does it take before you're serial in? Is it like 3 or 4?
I think it's 3.
Right. And you can space them out. You could just pick off, somebody at their house. You don't have to go do a whole bunch of killings.
It's like one every few months.
Right. Plan it really good. I don't know why this isn't bigger. We don't do serial killers anymore, and it's a bummer to me.
No, when is the last time there's been a major serial killer?
Yeah, in the chat, Jody B says podcast hitman, but podcast hitman killed one guy. Or one gal. He killed his girlfriend. I mean, like, you're not going to get a Netflix series just by killing your girlfriend. That's boring.
No. Right.
What we need...
Yeah. We want all of the aspects. We want the detectives chasing leads, thinking it's one person, but it's really not, and the whole time you're still out there doing your thing, sending letters to the police station that say, good job, Mr. Snowman, you know?
Yeah, I gave you all the clues, Mr. Police. Like, you get to write cool letters, you get to, like, cut things out of magazines.
That's hard to find magazines now, though. They're canceling all of them.
Right, and they give you a cool nickname, and then they say you struck again. You don't get to strike again if you're a mass shooter. You strike once, and then some other dipshit is going to strike.
And then you either kill yourself or get shot.
Right, and then some other guy is going to do a mass shooting in a couple of days, and nobody's going to remember you. It's boring.
Yeah. They're going to be like, was that the guy that did the thing, or was he at the other thing?
And don't get me wrong, it's not boring. Lives are destroyed. It's awful. But what I'm saying is like, for you, for your 15 minutes, do serial killings.
Yeah. Makes more sense to play the long game.
Jody says that there was a guy called the Alaskan Avenger who killed pedophiles with a hammer. That's cool.
That is cool.
Let's watch that show.
I wouldn't even call that a serial killer. I'd call that a hero.
Yeah, he sounds like a good guy. Let's make a podcast about him, Travis. I'm sure there probably already is one, but we can make another one. There's millions of them.
Well, let's just make up a story.
There's a guy in Alaska, finds pedophiles, hits them with a hammer, kills them. And so then the cops show up, and they say, oh, the Alaskan hammer, he killed again. And they're on the trail.
I feel like our podcast is going to be centering around that guy who he only drowned. All of his victims are drowned in public toilets.
Ooh, that's his calling card. He just waits till somebody has to shit.
Something on their back,
like jizz.
Yeah, maybe he shits on their back after he drowns them in the toilet.
You can't do anything with your stuff now, though, Travis, because they can track all that. I mean, like, even if they don't have your stuff, one of your dumbass family members might send something to 23andMe, and they'll trace it back to you. You gotta be real fucking careful. You gotta wear the big ass rubber gloves, not like the gloves like the doctors wear. I'm talking about like the ones that like the scientists who are handling chemicals in the thing wear, like thick ass fucking gloves, Travis. You can't risk it.
Well, this is okay. This is now the MO of our case, is that he leaves other people's and animals' feces on the back of the person while they're hunched over, drowned in the toilet. Oh. This way, the police are forced to test every piece of shit that's laid on the back of the victim.
Travis, okay, so in this situation, is he just randomly killing, or is he killing people who deserve it, like a Dexter?
We gotta do a Dexter.
Okay, so the double whammy could be the human shits that he's putting on people are just people who didn't flush the toilet, because that's his other pet peeve. Like, he goes in and finds shits in public toilets of people who didn't flush, and then he's kind of framing them, because you know they're going to 23andMe that shit. Yep. And then he'd be like, oh man, how could I have been there? And he'd be like, oh, I didn't flush that one shit at that one Burger King. Mm-hmm. That's where it came from. Or if you always don't flush, and then who knows where it came from?
You'll never know. You'll never know.
This is actually pretty good, Travis.
I think it's pretty good.
The Poopyback killer.
And our guy only kills people who talk on speakerphone in public.
He just follows them home.
Yeah, you were riding the train, or you were in a fucking Costco, walking around doing your shopping, and you just had your phone out in front of your face, and
why do people do
could hear
that,
both
Travis?
sides of the conversation.
I don't understand why people do that. Like, why do I give a fuck who you're talking to? Is it a performance?
I think it's a generational thing, but I say that, but there's people my age and older that do that too, so I can't even attribute it to a certain generation. I don't understand it myself.
Is that what all of this is a goddamn performance, Travis?
Yeah,
look at me.
I think part of it is. I think part of all of our lives, when you really boil it down, could be summed up as performance art.
Think about the world.
Throw a milkshake at a Mona Lisa.
I love that story.
I did too.
I don't.
I'd like to. Was there pictures of him dressed up like the lady?
Yes,
the lady?
absolutely. It's not a good disguise. Awesome. It's piss poor, to be honest with you. Did you even hear about that? I feel like that should have been bigger news. Is somebody tried to assassinate the Mona Lisa with cake?
Yeah. Yeah, it was right on my Google News. Like, you pull up Google News and it's like, hey, some fucking weirdo dressed like an old lady and threw a piece of cake at the Mona Lisa, knowing full well that it's behind glass.
Travis,
it's like throwing a burrito at the front window of a Taco Bell because you got shitty service. It's like, oh yeah, I'll just spray that off.
Did they say a Bolivian dude threw a teacup at it?
There was probably a political slant to that story.
Did you ever really? I think we talked about it when like that painting The Scream has been stolen like 6 times.
Yeah.
Like they keep stealing it.
Why don't they just put these things in like a vault and then just have like copies? Like, nobody's gonna know the difference. Just put the copies behind the glass. Ain't nobody gonna know that it's not the actual painting.
Just have the best paintings and have copies of all of them in all of the museums. You know, like going to the zoo. You want to see tigers? We got tigers. And like, you want to see the best art? Every place has the Mona Lisa. You don't know what the real one is.
Yeah. It's a museum in Chicago, museum in New York, museum in Paris. They all got the Mona Lisa.
We all got it.
Who fucking knows?
Throw a cake at it. Who gives a fuck? I'll just print a new one.
Right. Yeah. Printers are pretty good these days.
You should get to pay extra to throw cake at it. Like, just throw another $20 at it.
You buy like tickets, like when people are in a dunk tank and you got to buy so many balls or whatever. Like, how many pieces of cake you want to throw at this thing?
Right. You make reproductions on canvas, and you put it in a room, put a nice frame on it, and you just say, "Hey, I'm gonna throw a piece of cake at the Mona Lisa. Come on in, $20."
Yeah, there's a turnstile there. You hand them your ticket. It says what you get to throw and how many. They hand you your milkshake, your chili dog, and your piece of cake. You go through the turnstile, and you take turns throwing your food items at the Mona Lisa, and then you go out the other turnstile because the next person's coming. They got to throw something at the Mona Lisa, too.
Single point of entry.
There's going to be a person there every time something is thrown at the Mona Lisa, squeegeeing that off, right? So the next person gets a fresh Mona Lisa for the chili dog they'd like to.
Maybe if we just had these rage rooms, Travis, we'd solve a lot of fucking problems. Just let people go in there and just like ruin priceless pieces of art, feel like they've really made a difference, and then
that's a good idea.
Go back to work at fucking Wendy's or whatever it is you do.
Yeah, like say here's a room full of irreplaceable like vases. Here's some art from the Egyptians. These are all one-of-a-kind pieces.
Yeah.
Here's your baseball bat. We'll lock you in there for 10 minutes.
Right. And then whatever you break, cool. We got more in the back.
Yeah. Yep.
And I guess what are we going to do with all the? We can't. It's probably a lot of waste, Travis. We have to have like something to do with it because I know that the government will get all up on our ass if we just like throw all this stuff away.
Well, you grind it up and use it for mulch.
There you go. Travis, what we're gonna do? Oh, in the chat, Jody says, "Life is a stage, bro. Shakespeare said that."
I think that's falsely attributed to Shakespeare.
Shakespeare didn't write any of his stuff, did he? It's all
ghost written.
gobbledygook, right? A gal, and Shakespeare stole it. That might be fake, Evan. I think it was a movie, Travis.
Shakespeare in Love?
No, it was a movie where Shakespeare was fake, I think. Or maybe maybe that was like one of those Da Vinci codes.
Where Shakespeare never existed?
Yeah, it was fake. Fake person.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole bunch of people like in a room writing together, and then they're like, "We are collectively Shakespeare."
I tend to feel that way about Woody Allen. Like, he's not real, so I don't consume any of his movies because they're not very good.
Who?
Woody Allen.
Oh, he just cranks them out.
I've cranks them out, and they're varying quality, so I just don't bother.
Yeah, he's just like, "Hey, I made a movie. If you want to put it out on some shitty streaming service or something, some people will watch it and say it's art, and most people won't give a shit."
Like Wes Anderson.
Yeah, I like Wes Anderson.
I haven't bothered with one of his movies since the Boy Scout one.
Everything's right in the middle, Travis, and it has a really long name.
That's true.
Let's take a break.
Let's do it.
Here is Mike with a quick update on the WFOD Hollywood Fantasy League.
Bob's Burgers made $15 million and had a 75% Metacritic. That's fine, right? Top Gun made $156 million and had a 78. So that's 122 points for our opening weekend. We'll take it. Totals for those two next week.
Uh-oh, Richard! Oh, wow! Wow! Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me. Wow, dude! It was a G.I. Jane jump.
The Fresh Prince married a bald gal, as bald as any gal can be. Don't tell him I told you so, or he'll slap the shit out of me. When Jada washes her face, how high up does she go? Is girl behind me? Oh boy. Uh-oh!
Keep my wife's name out the fucking mouth!
Oh, yeah. Ooh, cinch.
What the hell are you doing?
What? Dude,
put it away.
Moon roast.
Oh, you're f***ed up, man.
Tail slapping is a method dolphins often use to stun their prey, but it doesn't seem to work here. The fish are tantalizingly close.
Subway, making sandwiches before your eyes.
Once again, WFOD. Wheelbarrow full of dicks.
guys, welcome back. Phone number to contact the show is 636-487-HAND or WFOD show on Skype. Travis, people have been... You're muted again, Travis. Muted again. I don't know why is that happening?
Mike?
There you go.
Hey there. I feel like I need to drop a quick disclaimer for any potential sponsors out there. Who I was portraying in the first half was a character. It was parody. I do not take a stand on anything of national importance, including national tragedies, gun control, or anything of the like. I'm an impartial observer, much like Uatu the Watcher. And if I spouted any opinions, just know that those were satirical in nature, and feel free to sponsor our show without any repercussions.
Are you talking about the stance on how you like to shoot 2-liter bottles?
Or that I like guns at all.
Oh. Is that like a stance? You can say that they're fun, right? To shoot without... Is that a stance, really?
I don't think you could say... I don't think you can say anything anymore, Mike. And so I... as actual Travis, real live human
actual Travis. Well, I mean,
not character Travis.
Travis, I'm character Mike too. I don't really think there should be serial killers. It was a bit.
Well, I just
actually no. Actually genuine, real life. This Mike. Serial killers are way more fun.
They're way cooler. They're much more interesting.
Travis, this Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing. I feel like I could have dove into the whole thing and loved every minute of it.
Yeah, people seem to have.
Yeah, like people got really into it, and I don't blame them because from what I saw, there was some amazing stuff in it.
Yeah.
I did pull a question and answer, Travis. And I mean, like, I think that eventually they're going to make a 10-part miniseries about this, and it's going to be great.
Oh, it's going to be on FX, and it's going to just be called Depp v. Heard.
Yeah, no, and I'll watch every second of it, Travis. But like, it goes on for full days. I mean, like, we need like the sports center of this trial where they just give us the clips.
But you can watch it live. You could have watched it live the entire time.
Yeah, yeah. And by the way, that's silly. They should have just done this privately. They love it. They love all of this. And I don't know why, because they're both ruined. Nobody's going to take either of them seriously ever again.
It's the same thing as when they are examining a potential Supreme Court justice, and they televise it because they know it's going to bring out all of the best performers on the left and the right, and make wonderful sound bites and media, and people are going to eat that shit up. So that's why they televise everything.
I believe at one point they were discussing Johnny Depp saying that he wouldn't make another Pirates of the Caribbean movie if they gave him $100 million and 300 alpacas. And I don't know if alpacas have ever been in his contracts, but alpacas, that's big business. There was a friend...
Is he like, I mean, is he a fan of alpacas? Is that why he would even 300 alpacas is not enough?
Well, how much land do you think you would need to house 300 alpacas? Probably a lot, right?
Ooh, I would assume so. They got to roam a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, they got to move around. They got to eat grass, and like once they eat the grass, there needs to be more grass.
Right. You got to give it time to grow.
You know, there was a friend of mine. Yeah, he wasn't really my friend. He was my friend's friend. And he worked...
So he's friend adjacent.
He worked at an alpaca farm. And his job was to make sure that when the boy alpaca tried to fuck the girl alpaca, that his dick went in the right place. So he jacked off alpacas like as his job. And that was an incredible job. And so he would go to work and jack off alpacas all day. And then on his way home, he would stop and hang out with us at Pizza Hut for a while, like while we were closing up the Pizza Hut. and we would typically give him free pizza, and like he'd just sit there and eat some pizza and talk to us about jacking off alpacas. He's a good guy. I like him.
It's got to be fulfilling work, though, right? Like, it feels like you're making a difference in the world and creating more alpacas.
Sure. Like when you see that alpaca born, you say to yourself, I helped. That was all me.
I was like the third person in that throuple.
Right. But yeah, I don't know if alpacas is part of his contracts. It should be, I guess, if he wants to get in the alpaca business.
Yeah.
Travis, I got a question and answer here. And by the way, I would recommend you guys just watch as much of this trial as you can because it's great television. It's better than anything on TV. But
you at least have to track down that statement that they took from that guy who couldn't be bothered to come to court, but was more than happy to do it on Zoom from his car. Where he was just sucking down his vape. At one time, he's like, must have been late for something. So while they're asking him a question, he starts his car up and like starts driving and taking off. And that was my highlight from Depp v. Heard.
So this is Amber Heard's attorney. I think this is like a psychologist that he's asking a question to. But this is the attorney asking a question, and then I have his answer after about a 15-second silence. But this is the question.
But Willy Wonka doesn't matter to you? You seen that movie, Charlie and Chocolate Factory?
What is this?
You see that movie, Travis? The Charlie and Chocolate Factory?
It doesn't matter to you?
Willy Wonka? So then the guy just stares at him for about 15 seconds. And then this is his answer.
Do I have to answer that question, Your Honor?
You have to answer questions. Yes, sir.
No, you'll be happy to know I didn't see Willy Wonka. I didn't see 21 Jump Street when it happened, whatever it was about. No, I did not.
You'll be happy to know I did not see Willy Wonka.
Charles, I saw a TikTok trend the other day where the people were putting a bunch of water in their mouth, and then they were slapping each other in the face with tortillas and trying not to laugh and spit the water out. That was pretty good. That just happened to me when I was listening to that. I took a drink, and then this guy was talking about Willy Wonka, and I almost spit.
The thing is, you're supposed to get a mouthful of water and then get slapped in the face with tortilla and try not to spit it out?
Yeah, like there's three people in like a triangle, and they were taking turns slapping each other in the face with tortillas with a bunch of water in their mouth. It was like the big old tortillas,
all three
too.
had water.
Yeah.
Huh.
And I guess if you spit the water out, you lose.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's not bad. Travis, so the other day, our friend Pepper, he posted something on Twitter that was essentially, I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember exactly what it said, but it was something along the lines of like, people should appreciate podcasts as art because they deserve to be considered art, and like they're not. And not in all cases would I agree with that, but a lot of people did agree with it, Travis. It got a lot of likes. And privately, we were giggling about it because, you know, he was being facetious.
Yeah, it's like asking for podcast recommendations.
But like 60 people liked it, Travis. They liked his thing about how podcasts are art. And so I...
Mike, of those 60 people, do you have the information? How many of those 60 people are currently making a podcast?
Probably most of them, Travis. What I was actually doing is I started going down the list one by one and listening to the people who liked that tweet's podcasts, like to see if they were actually art. I only made it like 4, and none of them were art, Travis. There was one that was really close, though.
Really?
Yeah, it was a business podcast. It was a guy, he was like from Nigeria, and... he had a podcast about business, and I have a clip for you. This guy liked Pepper's tweet about how podcasts are art, and he has a podcast about business. Do you want to hear this business podcast?
Yes.
This
Of
is
course.
the business podcast, Travis.
Number 6, caviar, sushi, intestines, and hard work. Not everyone likes those things. But once you like them, you like them. And I said anal sex. I said anal sex. The people who like anal sex love anal sex. You don't. I don't mind anal sex. You don't say, I don't mind it. Mm-mm. You either on in or nothing.
It's a podcast about business, Travis.
That's a great clip.
Anal sex!
Yes, I said anal sex.
Yes, if you either like anal sex, you're not okay with anal sex, Travis.
I would imagine that if you were able to pull that clip from listening to his podcast for a short time, there's probably a lot of gold in them Dare Hills.
So what happened is, I had already declared his podcast not art, but I wasn't in a position to like change it to a different podcast. So I kept listening, and then the anal sex stuff started, and I said, God damn, I wish that I hadn't already said this wasn't art. Because like we were really getting somewhere, and I almost missed it. Like I almost missed the anal sex stuff, and it was just about like like how he grew up and like his grandma helped raise him, and he tries really hard. And it was like
really,
this is boring.
Finding art in a podcast is much like the initial stages of a beautiful sculpture. It starts with a rock. Right? And as you chip away that rock, it reveals the sculpture underneath. So in order to get to the beautiful anal sex clip, you have to suffer through the initial chipping of that rock.
Number 6.
That's right, Travis. So maybe that's the problem that I was having with all of these, is because I wasn't giving it time to flourish. Like I was listening to a couple of minutes of it, and I was like, no, this isn't for me.
But these are not likable people or a likable topic or likable in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, they were building towards something, though.
What episode was that clip in? Was that his first episode?
No, he's been podcasting for a while, Travis. The podcast is called Inside the Mind. It's about,
that really doesn't tell you it's a business podcast, does it?
It's a business podcast.
Sounds like a psychological or like a philosophical podcast with that title.
It wasn't easy to find Inside the Mind. A lot of these podcasts were hard to find because they liked Pepper's tweet, and then I just had to go based on that, and I had to go through their fucking feed to try to find a link to an episode. That's why I didn't last very long on the project, because it took too much research.
That's the type of thing that if we had more patrons, we could get into, because like a friend of the show, Andrew Heaton, who I am a proud patron of, I pay him handsomely, I feel, and I think a lot of people do, to essentially do that, right? Like that's, if you want to know anything about politics, anything about specific things, like that guy researches the shit out of every topic that he talks about on his podcast, and he's allowed to do that because his patrons essentially are his employers, and they pay him to do such things. Like, we do not have the time, as much as we'd like to, and as much as we think that it would probably be beneficial to our listeners. We just don't have the time to do all of that investigative research for content.
Travis, I don't necessarily want to encourage. Well, I do. I'd love for everybody to be patrons, Travis. But if they don't want to be, they could also listen to some of these podcasts for us, and if they find good anal sex stuff, they can send it to us.
If they want to be men and women on the street, correspondents,
right?
If you will,
if they want to help produce, I'll take that too.
Yep, absolutely.
And if we get to a point where we're getting lots of good anal sex clips, then we'll just start doing more shows, because it'll be way easier. I don't have to do all the work.
plenty of content to crank out extra shows. In which case, I think too, then we grow our audience with extra shows because the audience is doing some of the work for us.
Right, and we grow the audience, Travis, and they can do more of the work.
And then eventually, we don't even have to do the show. We can just play what they sent us.
Oh my God, Travis! If we could just hire out and just have other people do the show.
I feel like that's like what they call in business investment, like the exit, right? Like you created a company, you bring on investors, and what they're all looking for is the exit. How are they going to make plenty of money? And I feel like that is our exit, is to outsource the show completely and just recoup the gains.
And see, the big problem is, like, we make this show because nobody else makes this show. Somebody has to make it. And if somebody else is going to make it, then we don't have to.
Right. Yeah, we're doing a public service because this show doesn't exist without us doing it.
Right.
But if others wanted to do it,
yeah,
we wouldn't have to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah. I could be doing a horror movie podcast, but I ain't got the time because we got to do this one because nobody else is.
And a 6.
Travis, pick of the week, I started watching on HBO Max. They have a 2-part thing that Judd Apatow did on George Carlin. It's great.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I've been meaning to watch that.
Watch the first part. Haven't watched the second part, but it's great. So.
Is it as long as his Gary Shandling one?
Yeah, each part's like an hour 45. So I guess it's a little over 3 hours total.
They should do like the Kids in the Hall did with their documentary. Remember, my pick of the week last week was the Kids in the Hall documentary, Comedy Punks, where they took a normal-sized documentary, hour and 40 minutes, cut it in half, and called it a series. Anytime Judd Apatow makes a documentary, they should chop it into like 10 parts and call it, a limited series rather than a documentary, because I'd be much more likely to give it, a half hour, 40 minutes at a time than I am to sit down 2 hours at a crack.
It actually made me think of that Stu Shostak guy that we interviewed a couple months back, Travis, because like they had a bunch of archival footage of him like in black and white that was so shitty because it was so old and like it had the fuzz lines in it and stuff, and
the tracking lines.
It was like some guy recorded this on VHS and it's the only copy of it that exists. That has to be why this is here.
Yep, all the rest of it ended up in the dumpster behind some backlot.
Right. It was like they had this one goddamn guy who had it on VHS. They cleaned it up the best they could, and it still looks this bad.
But the content is good, so
right.
You deal with it.
It's the only record that George Carlin at one point didn't have a beard.
Yep, absolutely. Did you finish that then? Did you finish it, or are you still in the process?
Yeah, I watched the first part. Haven't watched the second part yet. But the first part's good. So maybe next week the second part will be my pick of the week, Travis. Who knows?
Perfect.
Pick of the week?
Oh, yeah. Travis's pick of the week this week is a mainstream one, obviously. Obi-Wan Kenobi on Disney+. It could have gone either way between two mainstream things. Stranger Things 4, Volume 1. Got one episode of that left. So far has been amazing. Just like you remember from Stranger Things 3 years ago when the kids were still kids and not full-grown adults.
They're fucking in their 20s now, Travis. It's weird.
It's the funny thing is like there's a few of them that it's fine, right? Like Dustin is fine. He's still kind of goofy. 11 still kind of seems, youthful. Mike is just like a tall, gangly kid, so I could still see him as being a kid. But like that, his best friend, what the hell is his name? Will. The kid that went missing in the first season. They essentially just took a grown-ass buff dude and put a weird-ass bowl cut on him to make it seem like he was still a kid.
They're like, hey, we know you're 40 now, but you still have to have a stupid haircut. It's the whole thing.
Yeah, put this bowl cut on, and also this weird 80s striped green and yellow shirt to signify the fact that you are still a child. But no, Obi-Wan Kenobi is my pick of the week. Disney Plus. They released the first 2 episodes last week. Very excited about the new episodes. They seamlessly blended in the prequel, the very divisive prequel series recap in with 10 years later this Obi-Wan Kenobi show. You get your first glimpse of Hayden Christensen as a non-dressed Vader, I think, in the second episode. Spoiler alert. But I was very surprised by a few of the choices. But I'll tell you what, it gave me the hugest Star Wars nerd boner. I love The Mandalorian. I liked Boba Fett a lot, but holy shit, this Kenobi was, for me, a Star Wars fan dream. So Obi-Wan Kenobi on Disney+.
They're just going to keep cranking this shit out, Travis? They're just going to keep...
I hope so. I fucking love it.
Pump out as much shit as they possibly can?
Give me the Star Wars, dude. Like, I know... I like the Marvel shit, like I really do, and I've been a fan of pretty much all of it. It's very enjoyable, and I love comic books. But I'll tell you what, give me all of the Star Wars content. Just keep making them,
guys. We did it. Travis, Jody's pick of the week is the Norm special. Norm put out a
posthumous special
from his living room, I think. I haven't watched it yet. I will, but I don't know. I kind of weirded out.
So, it's so smart to do that. Like, what is the TV equivalent of the Oscars? Or are those the Emmys? If you put out a posthumous comedy special, you have to win an Emmy, right?
Maybe. But then you're dead.
Like, didn't Johnny Cash win a Grammy for that first album that came out after he died?
Probably. And Heath Ledger won for the Joker, didn't he?
It's like comic book movies don't win, but then Heath Ledger died, and they're like, oh yeah, here, best supporting actor.
So that's what you do.
Yeah.
You just record one, put it in your back
something
pocket.
in the barrel, tell your significant other, release this upon my death. And hopefully it's not an anthrax bomb that you put together to have released upon your death.
Guys, and that's it. We did it. Junk will be back next week. Looking forward to that. Thanks for listening. Bye. Listening to this installment of WFOD, please subscribe and leave positive reviews on your preferred podcast player. Share the episode on social media or with one of your in-real-life friends. The links to our ever-expanding universe, including our Discord, our Twitch, and YouTube channels, and our library of back episodes, visit us at WFODshow.com. Thanks to Carl Casey at White Bat Audio for the music used in this podcast. Thanks to our Patreon sponsors, Amanda, Valerie, Brian, and Liquid. Visit patreon.com/WFODix to help support the show. Leave us a voicemail at 636-487-4263. Email us, Mike or Travis, at WFODix.com, or reach out on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. We'll see you next week. Thank you. Goodbye.
Buy a house.
Who won? It's chicken. It's chicken. It's fat.
Are you a racist?
Bitch.
Gotta get your heart checked, fella.
Fuck me, Zach Morris.
I forgot drunk wasn't coming.
I feel like we need more robots reporting the news.
More, like on the YouTubes?
Just in general, just robots reporting the news, right? Like,
do you just
today
type it into I guess that's how you do it, right? You just type it into a thing and then have the they probably just have. Well, Jody had a thing on Twitter the other day that was making whole videos of like weird manga people having arguments in a courtroom out of your Twitter conversations, and it just auto-generated it, man. It was amazing.
That's so strange. We're living in a fucked up time. So have you seen that weird AI that will generate art based on text? Like, so they've used this AI to like generate how characters from books would look based on descriptions given throughout a novel.
Is that real?
What? It's real.
So
like,
does it comb the book for you, or do you type it in?
I think you must probably, I didn't read too deep into it. I would think you must have to like give the robot or the AI the parameters, right? Like we're looking for like, I don't know, like who, whatever. Like this character in this book, all of the description of this character, this is what we need to find, and then it generates art based on the descriptions. Living in a crazy time, boy.
Some fucked up YouTube cake at the Mona Lisa and it was crazy.
That's perfect. See, so how come computers can do that, but when we record this podcast, Skype just puts me on mute for no reason, and then also the lag time between the two of us where I don't know if you can hear me because you're talking, and then I'm talking, and then you stop talking, and then I'm talking, but then I don't know if you're talking, and then the video is frozen. How come our computers can't do the simplest of things, but other computers can create magic?
Skype is a piece of shit.
Makes sense.
I don't know. We tried Zoom for a couple weeks. Why did we stop using? We didn't like it. What did we not? The time limit. But we didn't like other things
yeah,
too,
the time limit if you had more than 2 people in there was fucked.
Yeah, but there was other reasons too, wasn't there?
There's something else that happened, I think.
Yeah,
I
something fucked up happened, but I can't remember what it was.
We should use it again and then write down the problems that we had so we remember what the problems were.
So next time we're like, well, Skype's a piece of shit, let's use Zoom. We'll consult our handy-dandy handbook of what we don't like about things.
Oh, this is why we didn't want to use that.
Yeah, we'll just do a little red book called The Book of Reasons We Don't Like Stuff.
Yeah. And then we'll have to reach out to other companies and say, can't you develop something that doesn't have all of our dislikes of these things?
Yeah, this is the things we don't like. Fix them.
Yep. Fix them.
Yeah. And I don't think that Zoom Pro was the answer to whatever the reason was we didn't like it.
The one reason it was, but the other one I don't think it was.
Yeah.
The time limit thing disappeared with Pro, but the other thing we didn't like didn't go away.
But I don't remember what it was.
I also don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Huh.
Maybe we'll try it next week if we don't have a guest.
I got my legal notepad right here. I'll jot down any problems that we possibly have.
I have no guests on the horizon. I have nothing.
It's summer. People are busy.
Yeah, I guess that's it. But I mean, like, I haven't gotten any offers worth half a shit, and I sent a couple emails and got a couple no's. But I mean, like, I don't have any maybes. I have nothing. So.
Oh,